I will forward it in the link in the chat.
Okay.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, yeah, politics, education, entertainment. Business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another session of Focus on Liberia. I am your host, Gabriel. I have in the studio with me today Ernesto Putu Johnson and what's it, BN, right? BN. Today we're going to be talking about the launch of anti-corruption blockchain technology. Again, as we always like to say, wherever you are, please do take a moment, share the podcast, share it with your audience, and bring your question and your perspective. Ernesto, I know this is not you guys' first time on here, right?
Nope.
Yeah,
Been on here, I think, 2.5 years ago.
yeah. So I for this session, what I'd like to do, I would like you guys to maybe take a minute each or more to introduce yourself and your roles into the what is it, Acubilon blockchain technology, and then we can go on from there. But again, it's a pleasure to have you guys here. I too work in finance, so I'm kind of late to the blockchain technology when it comes to that. So maybe I can learn a lot from you guys on here today and the rest of the audience that are listening as well. So let's start with Putu. Putu, maybe you can take a minute to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, the Gabriel and the whole Focus on Liberia community. Name is Putu Johnson, also known as Putu Gatakwa Phenom. For a number of years, I've been in the community uh, as a musician, a visionary, revolutionary community organizer. I'm a co-founder of the Liberia Hughes Initiative, which embarked on a lot of great initiatives over the years since 2011, 2012. We played a significant role in defeating and overcoming Ebola. But over the years, I've always been somebody who wanted to improve, Liberia, Africa, the world at large, and having been exposed to blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, it's a great, 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 great feeling to be a part of this Acabulium project, this Acabulium blockchain project, which we're going to be sharing with you today. So I look forward to a great discussion. Um, I'll yield for now.
Okay, so we will go to BN and then we'll go to Ernesto next.
Right. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for inviting us, inviting his team. It's definitely time that Liberia gets to that place where we are starting to have these conversations. My name is Bien. By profession, I'm an engineer, and I'm specialized in transportation engineering. I I've done a lot of bridge project and a lot of highway design and construction projects. That's what I really, really do. I'm also, fascinated with solving problems. Somebody asked me one time, "What is an engineer?" I said, "An engineer is a problem solver." And when you think about it, we have so much problems in Liberia, and not just Liberia, but all over the world, right? So we need problem solvers, people who can solve those problems.
Right.
And I think Akabulian is that that team, is that organization that really, really wants to solve some of the problem in Liberia. And that's what got me really attracted to the project itself, the Akabulian blockchain. And it's really nice to work with wonderful team members, people from Liberia who have that connections, and some other people who are not really connected to the country, but have that spirit to make sure that we create this future that is going to be more productive and serving for the generation to come. So it's really nice to be. I hope to really have a decent conversation and make this impactful.
Perfect. And last but not least, Ernesto.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriel, for the introduction. I'm Ernesto Herbert, the founder of Akibulium. I can tell you that I've been in the data field for over almost, I would say almost 10, 20 years now.
Yeah.
And I am a data scientist. I work in political data in Washington, D.C. Pretty much that's what I do. I got in this area of blockchain whenever I understood the technology that blockchains work on. So with my background in database and understanding what blockchain has, it got me into, to get into this field and even deeper because the potential that I saw and I was wowed about it. And I was like, wow, can you imagine if we can actually transform this into something useful for our community? We can actually change lives and make a lot of impact in our community. So that's the reason why I got involved in this technology. And we have other guys on our team, some females and guys. We all work together to make this happen. I will stop there for now.
Uh, I don't think I'm not hearing him. Is he on mute, Brother Gabriel?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you either, Gabriel. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yes, I was muted. Again, thank you guys for taking the time to come here. I think this is the first of its kind. This kind of technology for Liberia. Either in Liberia or here in the diaspora. I do keep my ears out in the street when it comes to anything tech that is tech related or finance related. So I think this is the first of its kind. So hopefully you guys can educate us more in terms of what blockchain is, what it can do, what it has for the future, and how the country can benefit from it as well. I know you guys we have a presentation here that we have to go through. So if you guys are ready, we can queue up for it, and then we go through it.
I think before that, Ben wanted to say something.
Yes.
Right. Well, before we get into the presentation and get more into the project, I just want to
Yes.
give a little background of
Right.
the team. And Akabulian is a movement. It's not just a team. We're a movement that's trying to solve problems. We're a movement that's trying to build a system We are determined to build a system in the country. We're a movement of people who really do believe that we don't have to trust a person. We can trust a system that is
Uh-huh.
transparent, a system that is self-operating, a
Uh-huh.
system that is based on truth. And the genesis of this whole project came about based on those premises. We understand that we have so much problems in our country. Our country is a wonderful place, and not just Liberia, but the continent as a whole. We're good people. We want to see things done properly, but we are stuck in a predicament where, the people who have the ability to make the change, they don't have the willpower to do so. And the people who have the willpower, like you and I that are having this conversation, we don't have the ability. We don't have that position to be able to do so. So it's a catch 22.
Mhm.
But Akabulian, from its genesis, said, you know what? We understand that. We understand human condition. We know that, some of the things that people do, even people in government do, they don't do it because they think it's cute. They think it's nice. They don't oppress the people because they think it's okay to do so. They do it because of certain complex human condition that creates that kind of environment. The man who's in position has to take care of his children. He has to send them to school. He has to feed them. He has to clothe them. In fact, every father or every mother want their children to have higher benefits than other children. It's an instinctive thing. So I could believe and say, we understand those human conditions. But now, how do we create a system where we don't have to trust the politician? We don't have to trust the people in power to be able to do the right thing. We create a system that makes it mandatory for them to do the right thing. That is what we are trying to do. Akibulian is trying to solve the anti-corruption, the corruption issue in the country, the anti-corruption entity. And we want to do that with transparency, transparent auditing when it comes to financing. We want to be able to solve the identity issue. Identity issue is a major problem in the country. How do we know who is who in Liberia and who owns what? How? How can the government even institute a way to be able to make sure everybody do the right thing if there's no accountability? And accountability, you have to know who is who to hold the person accountable. Akabulian is trying to solve the identity issue in Liberia, to create a digital identity. And out of that identity system, we can solve issues like credit system, make people credible. You have reputation on the blockchain that can say, I don't know Gabriel very well, but just looking at Gabriel's digital identity, yeah, this guy is a decent man, because everybody got good things to say about him. And all those people that said things about him are people that actually interacted with him because it's verifiable on the blockchain. So there's a whole lot of things Akabulian is trying to solve, and blockchain technology can provide to our country. So I'm not going to dive too deep. I will give Brother Ernesto the chance to kind of, maybe talk a little bit about the technology itself and some of the things we are trying to do, some of the problems we are trying to solve. But that's just the history of where Akabulian is coming from. And these are some of the challenges we have in front of us. And those are some of the problems we're trying to solve in the country and in the continent.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Yes, I want to do a presentation to explain in a very simple term what a blockchain is. Because I understand our community, don't have a lot of information or knowledge about this technology, and I'm trying my best to see how best I can make it as easy as possible. So I want to show evolution of how we store records, from back in the day to currently, and why it's important for us to use the blockchain now for our country. So, brother Gabriel, you can actually show the presentation if you have it. All right.
So the first question is, what is a blockchain? And I think somebody alluded to that, may have been Putu or BN, but that is the first question, right?
Ben, you wanna dive into what a blockchain is if I start the
Yes.
presentation? Just
Yes. Now, the blockchain, guys, think about the blockchain as you think about the internet. All through human evolution, guys, it's always been a progressive, you know, elaboration of us understanding more things and creating more things. The more we understand, the more we create. Think about the internet as a technology where we built application. The fact we're having this conversation is on the internet. Now, the blockchain is like a whole different layer version of the internet. It's higher than the internet. You know, the blockchain is a technology also, is a platform technology that you can build things and systems and organizations and operation of those organizations on top of. Now, when you think about the blockchain, think about the internet. And then when you think about cryptocurrency, so a lot of people have heard about crypto, think about like applications, like different apps you're building on top of the blockchain. The same way we use the internet to build like, Facebook and Twitter and all the streamed lines we have right now, we're using the blockchain to be able to build organization, to build institution of fairness, transparency, institution of making sure that we don't trust people, but we trust the system. I'll tell you this, computer don't like you, computer don't hate you. It's like mathematics. Mathematics don't like you, mathematics don't hate you. Mathematics is just mathematics.
Mhm.
That's the technology right there. The blockchain don't like you, it don't hate you. The blockchain is just truth. It's just blockchain. It's just transparency. So that's what we're building, and that's the
the old computer term, they say input garbage in, garbage out. So whatever
yeah.
you put in, that's what you get out. It doesn't have favor, it doesn't bias. It's not biased. So that's just what it is. Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, let me try to put it in simple labyrinthine. All right, so I want to try to explain the thing simple for so we understand everybody that listening on the call. First, the best way to understand what blockchain is first let's go back to way back in the day when our grandma and grandpa they used to store data, how they used to store information, you know, and then they used to talk. They would tell their grandchildren, they land here, you see. So let's say, for example, they want to recall who owns a particular plot of land, and then the grandpa tell your grandson that land on the hill, like we don't own it. So when you get bigger, like your land there, right? On the other side, like your cousin land. So the oral communication that had the people used to store information. So now, fast forward in the future, we have paper came. People came, somebody invented paper, and then we say, okay, now instead of us storing it, just talking about who own our land, they're ready on paper. So somebody can say, okay, now that particular land there, I'm going to write the owner of that land is X and Y and Z. I'm going to sign it, right? And I'm going to put a date on it, and I'm going to close it and put a seal on it. So back in the day, they had a seal. When they seal the paper like a letter, and when you transport the letter to the person that's supposed to receive it, they have to break the seal. If the seal is broken already, that means that somebody have already read the letter that are supposed to read it, right? So which of course that means that it's invalid. That means there's a fraud that happened. But that's how the people was trying to protect their data, just with paper at the time. And then fast forward, we live in a time now where we have something called computers. The computers now say, okay, we put paper aside, all the little files and all the little cabinets filled with a bunch of papers. Now we store things in something called databases, right? So these things that have rows and columns, and we store it in there. We have Excel sheets, everybody know Excel. We have the Microsoft Access database, and then we have Microsoft SQL database, we have Oracle database. We have a whole lot of database. We have NoSQL database, and the list goes on. Now, that's exactly where we are right now. And databases have its own way of protecting data. You understand? But guess what? It have its flaws. The flaws they have, that's exactly the reason why a blockchain came in. So a blockchain is the evolution. Now we're in the evolution time. We're in the latest era of data storage, secure data storage. The blockchain is one step away from what we know today as a means to store data securely. That's the one step. And this one step have proven itself to be qualified to do this work. And that's what we want to explain to our community, because we have this knowledge about this thing. We can't just keep it. We want people to know how this is going to revolutionize our community and change things if we adapt it, if our country adapted. So let me dive into this evolution of record keeping. You can move one step, Gabriel. So like I was saying, right, oral tradition started with people just telling their relatives or their business partners what it was in terms of record keeping. Like we said, like the land deed situation, that's exactly what it was. So this image I show you here it shows you an old man telling his grandchildren about a land, right? Month to month, you have to believe the person, the older person, right. And then when you get older, you translate it to your younger self, to a younger child or grandchildren. Yeah. But guess what? The stories, as you all know, the stories always change. Somebody told you this story before, your great grandma, but then even part of story. Just think about it. That story keeps changing as as the generation change. So you realize that maybe now after 100% of the story, now only 10% is valid. So that's a big problem. The data is not, the information is distorted, and we cannot rely on that. So I want to take you one step again, like what I discussed before, but I want to go in detail now in terms of the paper. Very simple paper. We got papers, and we got this thing on the called seal that all these back in the day, all these the empires or all these big countries at the time that that had all the knowledge. This is what they used. They use these things as a way to not just store information, but to protect information. The protection of information is crucial for society to function. You have to understand that if the king wants to tell another king maybe to form a truce, or maybe to have some kind of agreement, it's supposed to be between that king and another king. Nobody else will read the information, right? Anything in between, any middleman in between that intercept that information, you read it, it could cause a problem. And that's why they put a seal on it. The seal was to protect it from that. So if you ask yourself, what was these old people trying to do? They were trying to protect data. They were trying to keep data secure. And that's what makes society function well. Because if not, then we'll have something like corruption. Because if I have $100,000 to manage, and I went ahead and I used 500,000 on something else, right? And then eventually I tried to change the document to show that I actually use it for the right purpose. Guess what? I can do it with a paper because I can change the information, manipulate it. In Liberia, we got some places where they call it the World Trade Center. Go there, man. You have to cheat people, and you get stamp on it, put that on it, right? Yeah. Or they got in every country they have it. They even have the advanced ones that you would never detect the change. Even money, they can even manipulate money. The paper can be transformed into something that you realize that, wow, these guys are advanced. But that's what these things help us back in the day, but it have its flaws. People cannot stop corruption. People cannot help with resource management. People cannot help us to speed our economy to the level where we become productive, where when we have projects to implement, we are all these people who leading our governments and our institutions are held accountable. People cannot help it. The reason because it can be manipulated, and we are so now advanced as people, Liberians. We are advanced to still be relying on things that a lot of countries have left behind. And that's one of the reasons why we want to dive into where it's going. So Gabriel, I would say put the next one on. We'll go to computer database. This is pretty much my area. This where I've laid my entire life on. I went to school in Ghana. Got my little. I actually went to school as a network engineer. I did networking, but when I went to Liberia, I realized that I couldn't find a job in networking from Ghana. So I got it. My first job was in to manage a little assets database in a little Excel sheet, and that's how I got into the whole database thing. I realized that it was even way better than if I was going to do networking because I just fell in love the way how data can be analyzed. You can do, those who do statistics, ledgers and all these institutions, think about, all the data we use today and all that stuff. You can analyze it. You can be able to build products on data. You can, data is actually I would say one of the most important component of modern society. Even the AI we use today, they are trained with data. Without data, AI can never exist. Facebook, without our data, it can never exist. We have to post before Mark Zuckerberg make money. And Mark Zuckerberg have to store our data to show it to other people. And then they make money. Even as we're speaking right now, as this thing is streaming, the stream is data. The video watching is data. All these things can be analyzed. They can analyze the data to know, to predict things in the future. So this is where I live my life. This is exactly what I make my money on. I'm a data scientist. So I've been into this thing. I've been into the data storage. I've been into the data administration. I've been into data analysis. I've been into even survey, data collection. In Bangladesh, in the counties, I've been there collecting data. So I have a vast knowledge and experience on different fields of data, and I know the flaws. You first have to know something before you can say you have a problem. There is a problem with the current system of databases. A database can be updated. It can be edited, delete a record, or you can even delete the whole table. You can delete, you can update, you can manipulate the data. It just depends on who's managing or who the administrator of that data. That's all. And then we have to trust the administrator to be good. And that's the problem with our current society. Everybody in authority are people we trust to be good. So we say this person should have a good reputation. That man get good reputation. That man, when that man get in that position, that man a good man. And then when the man get in, I say, that man changed you. That man used to be good before, but now we don't understand how everything because we are trusting people. The thing is that human being might be good, but then when they use a system that they see that there's no check and balance, that person become corrupt in like a few months. So there's nobody that is good or bad. It's just that the system the person using can encourage them to be bad because they see that they have this money and nobody is monitoring it. They have this project, they can use money and then there's no check and balance. What would they do? They will be corrupt. So our database have flaws. It can be updated, deleted, and manipulated. So now that's the problem we have currently. If you think, okay, we have all these companies in Liberia, the government they said digitizing things, right? The digitizing thing. When somebody says digitizing things, it just means they're using the current system, they're using database, they're using the computer system, all those things. It still have a problem. The problem is it can still be manipulated if you have influence. Somebody can get call the administrator, change this thing in the database. They will do it. I will pay this money, they will do it. But what I want to introduce to you is a system that also uses a database. But this database, the difference of the database that the blockchain system uses is it cannot be deleted and updated. You cannot delete the information in there. You cannot update information in there. And that's what they call it. It's immutable. When you say the data is immutable in the blockchain, it means that data is unchangeable. You cannot change it. Once it has been inserted or finalized in the blockchain, it can never be changed. It stays there forever. So if you really think about it, wait, if we had the kind of system that information doesn't get manipulated, anybody who's sound in the mind won't think about when we live in a society that is corrupt and people manipulate systems and documents for their own benefits. Wouldn't you look at this technology to be a solution? Like you have a ledger, you have a database that cannot be manipulated. Think about it, people. Think about that first. And I just want the database cannot be manipulated. Number two, the data is not stored in one entity. For example, if we talk about, let's say, land deeds and stuff like that, we have something called the archive. The archive is an institution that stores that information in their record. So that institution is centralized, meaning that if that institution, no current there, you go there, you say, oh, I want to check my document, you say current of system down. I mean, every librarian familiar with that thing, system down, right? It's because it's a centralized entity, or centralized entity have a problem. Anything affect that entity, meaning that we cannot access that data. So if anybody in that entity is corrupt, meaning that our information is also corrupt. So apart from the fact that the data can be manipulated or whatever it is, the data is also stored centrally. That's why when I show you the previous slide, I show you just one computer, meaning that one entity control it. But with a blockchain network, you have a network of decentralized computers all around the world that store the same data. If you want to think about it in the layman term, you're thinking about you get your store and you get your camera there in the store to make sure that nobody steals. Then the camera here, you have two options. You can get recorded and the information is stored on the memory card, and later on you can show it to the whoever own their business. Say, okay, somebody can store something here, the information here, or you can make the camera go live, right? As the camera is recording, it's live. So the information is going live, broadcasting. I'll use the word broadcasting, right? Like what we're doing now. We are live, we're broadcasting. So everything we say now goes instantly to millions of people. It's not recorded on the memory card, and now I have to go and take it and edit it on maybe a CapCut, and then I can manipulate it. Similarly with news. If you're a news journalist going on the scene where there's a crime happening, and you don't use a live camera, you can record what you want to record, and you can be manipulated to show the story that you want to show and cut the part that you don't want to see. I mean, we all familiar with that. We live in the modern time where that happening a lot now. But what happens when you record it live? Tell me now. It's clear. The entire world see what you see. As you see it, the entire world is seeing it. That's how a blockchain works. Every information you insert on a blockchain is broadcasted across the entire network globally on the blockchain network, or computer instantly. So the data gets stored on all the computers before it say the data is stored. When the data is not stored, all computers against the data stored. And all the computers got to agree that, yes, I received the data, and this is the data I received is accurate. If all the computers have agreed, that's when the blockchain agreed that the data have been stored, right? So that's what makes a blockchain very, very difficult to manipulate. It's very transparent, and the data on it is very secure. We introducing this technology as a means to solve problems, not just to see an opportunity to make money, or means to solve problems. That's a critical problem in our society, guys. And I would like my other colleagues to dive into it very soon. But if you see what we just discussed here, think about it and think of ways of which you can use this yourself. And then we'll get back to it. You can go to the last slide. So what does it matter for Africa? Like I was just explaining, how can you use this technology now that we have explained a little bit of it, just the little basics, not even in depth. So many ways. You can now have the archive, and we don't have to say, oh, the people fighting over land. Why? Why should people fight over land when the data for who own the land is supposed to be transparent? Everybody's gonna know who own the land, that particular land. It's not so be hidden, and nobody's so manipulated. People killing each other over the kind of simple things that we have technology for it. People talking about the money to the Ministry of Finance, the money lost, or 3 million lost. Why? Why should money be lost when we can have a way to track money nowadays? It doesn't make sense, right? Because we have the technology to do it now. And it's not like somebody foreign about to bring it. Your federal librarians understand the technology. We are capable, and we have already built it. We have it working, and it's running currently, right? The only thing that we have to do now is to test it whenever people want to adapt it. We can show you it, introduce it, and then make you get on it, on your project, and get on it, and you can see what we're talking about. So let's go to the next slide. Yes, this one I just want to talk about Archibullion a little bit. How we introducing our own blockchain. It's called the Archibullion blockchain, and the purpose of it is to pretty much, like we said, is targeting corruption. We introducing this unchangeable database, immutable database that you cannot update, that the data goes across the entire global network and it cannot be influenced. You cannot delete anything from it, and you cannot manipulate it. Archibullium is the first anti-corruption blockchain in Africa. Let Liberia make names small, at least. Let be one of the first people that bring something positive, at least. So we are the first. You can go and research it. The first to bring anti-corruption blockchain in Africa, and it's very important because this is going to change the narrative of what Liberia is. Liberians will also have intellectuals. We have people who are thinking. We have people who are building systems. We don't just discuss politics every day, right? So we want people to understand that we can do it too. Nothing impossible. We got the same brain as the other people in the other part of the world, right? Let's go to the next slide. And this is why I'll close. I just want to read a little quote and I close. My little closing thought. I'll say, no one is coming to save us. We must solve our own problems through innovation, through integrity. Archibullium is not just a blockchain. It's our tool to fight corruption, protect our people, and shape our future. I will stop there.
Thank you, thank you, Ernesto. This is quite a compelling argument for the blockchain technology that you guys are building. I have lots of questions. Hopefully, I don't know if we have any in the comments, but hopefully, maybe you guys can, maybe answer those questions. And I think you mentioned some real world cases that I think this can be applicable to. But let me get rid of this real quick and then we'll jump into that. All right. So can any of you guys give us an example for some real world application of how this can be used either anywhere? It could be maybe in Africa or in Liberia per se. How this can be. And I think you mentioned something about land, keeping record of land, like at the archive and all of that, where stuff can be changed. But in addition to that, do you guys have any other real world application or how this can be used?
Brother Pudu will dive into the applications a little bit.
Okay. Pudu.
Yes, sure. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there are so many use cases for the blockchain. Really, when we look at our culture, we look at our, the way that we do things. One of the systems and traditions that we have as a people, Liberians, Africans, have one of the things that we have used is something they call susu. A lot of people are familiar with the susu, right?
Yes.
Where groups of people agree to pay money weekly or monthly, okay? Whether it's $100, everybody put in $100, and then everybody get their opportunity to have to have the outpouring of all the collective money put together on a monthly or weekly base, whatever it is, right? It's a way that we can climb up the social ladder to use that money to do whatever it is that we want to do. Sometimes there have been issues. You guys, plenty of us may have had experience or know somebody who have had experiences with susus gone wrong, where everybody is not paying as they're supposed to, or when it's time to get your portion to be given to you, it's not coming to you, something happened or whatnot, right? So imagine a blockchain-based susu, okay? So now what that would look like, right? Here's an example. Let's say that everybody agrees that they're gonna pay $10 for this particular susu, right?
Yeah.
All right. With the blockchain, what will end up happening is that what is called a smart contract, which is something that is a feature that
Of the
becomes
blockchain.
available on a blockchain, right?
Yeah.
So everything becomes automated. So automatically, the money that everybody is who has agreed on that contract, everybody automatically the money is given to the system, right?
Yeah.
And then
Right.
whoever it is agreed upon to get that their portion, it
Yeah.
goes to them automatic, and
Right.
everything is transparent and put in everything. Everybody can see. Nobody can
So
cheat the system.
so nobody can lie to say this person never paid their fees, or to say, I never really got the money. This person is lying. Everything is recorded in the system where everybody can see, regardless of
Perfect.
who goes in. Yeah.
Even a
Yeah.
bet. Even look at something as simple as a bet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm betting this other team gonna be this team is gonna win. This
Right.
other team is gonna win, right? When it's time to pay the money, this other person don't want to pay the money, right? Again, with the smart contract, if the money is $10, right? Everybody put their $10 already before the bet, so you know that person already got the money. If they do lose the bet, they're gonna pay. So you put the bet your side, I put my money in, right? And in the smart contract is computerized, is automated to know if this particular team win, that money gonna go directly to you or it's gonna go directly to me. So everything is automated. I don't have to trust or believe that you're going to pay me or not. You don't have to trust or believe that I'm going to pay the money if I lose the bet. Everything is just happens automated. So those are some of the simple use cases for something when you apply blockchain and smart contracts to the conversation.
Thank you. Bien, unless you guys have any comments to add to that before I jump into my next question.
Yes. Another addition, I think blockchain is very critical. Comes to trust. The fact that you don't have to know somebody to be able to trust them. It's the same thing in the US here. Sometimes you go to the bank for a bank loan. The bank don't really have to know you. The bank manager doesn't know you. They don't know where you work. But with the system in place, with the identification process they've solved, and then which gave rise to like the credit score system. Now this guy automatically knows you, and they can trust you and lend you some money. So with blockchain technology, the system is so trustworthy that you can engage in a partnership with someone or some kind of business approach with someone without actually really knowing them. For instance, Akabulian's blockchain we're building right now. One of the main focuses is to solve the identity issue. That's one of the issues. I mean, we have so many things we're solving, but the identity issue is very major. Now, when we solve the identity issue where we have a digital identity that can be pretty much connected to real life people, we know if somebody goes to Liberia and wants to find a babysitter, I've used this example before. You want to find a babysitter. I mean, instead of you asking your auntie, your uncle, or your sister, say, "Hey, can you be my babysitter?" What if those people are not around and you really need a babysitter, somebody you can trust for your kid? Well, you don't have to go about it. Oh, I think that person is nice. I think that person would do a good job. You just go on the blockchain and you can see a list of the services and people that can provide you those services on the blockchain. And they all have ratings. They got scores that say, hey, this person,
Yeah.
And they're rated by other people they actually did business with,
Right.
and only the person you do business with can actually give you a rating.
Yeah.
And the person who's been rated can also rate the person who hires them.
Yeah.
So everybody has some sort of like, it's kind of like Uber. You get an Uber ride, you can rate the Uber
The
driver,
driver
and the Uber
and the
driver can also
driver
rate
rate
you.
you. Right. So
Yes.
talk to me about, maybe you guys should talk to me about I think this is a bigger piece in Liberia, or not just in Liberia, but in Africa as a whole. We have what we call an identity problem, in terms of forming a credit rating. This is why people cannot give out loans, because you can't identify who's who. You can't identify the credibility of those individuals. But specifically to Liberia, where we have an identity issue. Yeah, people have passport, but we don't know. There could be 3, 4, 5 Ernestos out there in Liberia, but nobody knows specifically who is specifically Ernesto Herbert, right? So maybe you guys should talk to me about the identity, solving the identity problem, um, of what it can actually do for the country. My next question will actually go to something relating to the public procurement, because right now in Liberia, uh, procurement is a problem, right? In the government itself, people put out bids. Like over here, what we do, you put out, if the government put out a bid for a contract, people get bid on it, and somebody gets selected. In Liberia, that is, quote unquote, that's how it's supposed to be done. But technically, people circumvent that whole process. So that could be another problem there. But let's talk a little bit more about the identity problem, how that could be done. I go to Liberia, like you said, perfect case, the babysitter, somebody, I want to look for a babysitter. How can I go into the system, in Arcabilum system, the blockchain, and say, okay, this ID here belongs specifically to Putu, and Putu has done business with Ernesto, BN, and Gabriel, and these ratings are specifically towards him. Like, how can we, maybe solve that identity problem? Now, is that also transferable in the real world? Is there something they can take in the real world? Let's say even if I leave the blockchain system, I want to go to a bank. Can the bank actually come into the blockchain network to look at Putu's IDs and see his rating in the system to say, okay, this guy is very credible, that we can do business with him because we check his system in the blockchain as well?
Let me try to get into it a little bit, and maybe a Bay and a Pudu can add to it. We the Archibulium blockchain, we set it up in a way where we have a feature in it, very, very unique to Africa for this identity problem. Unlike other blockchains around the world, we have this layer called ZKID, which is zero knowledge identification. Zero knowledge identification. So what is this zero knowledge identification that Archibulium have? We noticed that identity is a very, very sensitive thing, right? It's not something where you want to just collect people information and say, okay, fine, we have identity, right? People have something called privacy. You don't want to exploit people's privacy, because with this technology that is decentralized, it also comes with its own issues, privacy, right? How do you protect the public privacy at the same time you also want to give them an identity that they can use to be able to identify themselves, to be able to raise loans for their companies, and pretty much do everything that what we all know happens in the US if you have your identity or your credit score intact. So this zero knowledge ID is something where you provide your information, and we use the blockchain cryptography, because blockchain is based on this cryptographic thing where if you ever familiar with the term encryptions, right? When you encrypt stuff, right? You have something that is like, let's say, a sentence, and then you encrypt that sentence, right? So it gives you a string or like an ID or like a password that represent that sentence, and you can decode it back to the sentence, right? So you can encode it and decode it. But that is not what some of the things that blockchain do. Blockchain have one way, what they call it, the cryptography. It gets the information, the same information, and it gets it into the same one string, or you call it like a password, where you can be identified what just a string that doesn't say what the content is, and then it stores that string. That string represents your entire bio, entire profile. That one string, you can actually get that same profile and generate the exact same string. The string meaning that how do I define what string is? I mean, everybody should know what string is, right? Like a group of characters, character could be letters or numbers, just long. It can be 34 characters or maybe 64 characters or anything like that. 10 character, like how password can look like. Just think about that. That's what a string is. So your entire profile is represented by this one string that you cannot tell what it is. But then how do we know who owns this string and what this string is? Is the profile is the only profile. If you use the same exact information, that's the only thing that can actually match that string. No other information will work and match that string. That string represents that exact information. It's mapped to the information. So that's what they call it cryptography. That's what makes blockchain works. Because we can be able to have these cryptographic keys that is so powerful enough to have information compressed into one string that represent that information. You understand, right? So with that technology that we have, now we can be able to keep people information private. So Gabriel, all your information, your age, your date of birth, what you did, X and Y and Z, is only you have it. We don't have it. We don't know who Gabriel is. But then we have your Ziggy ID. Your Ziggy ID is your identity. Think about it, it's like your metaverse self, yourself in the metaverse, right? But it's protected. You can have that ID can have credit score, meaning that the performance of the ID in the ecosystem. If you if ID credit, it pays back. It credit, it pays back, right? So we look at how the history of the ID is incremental, how it's growing, and eventually the ID credit score improve. And other aspect of it, so the ID can have different component of it that can make it grow, so investors can be interested into investing. And then you may be interested, like how will a bank, somebody who want to know who the person is, right? The person can actually still reveal their information to whoever requested, but the person have the right to do it or not. That's what make it private. So that's the zero knowledge ID we have, and the benefit of it is endless. I mean, you all know what ID does. When you have a good credit score, what can happen? You get mortgage, you get loans. If you have a bad credit score, we all know what happens, and we all know the benefit of having a credit system. We all know the benefit. Think about the amount of companies or the startups in Liberia now that people are looking for fundings, and how many investors in Liberia to invest. We always talk about the government and the problems in the country, but nobody really think about what can make an economy grow. Economy doesn't grow by USAID giving some kind of a donation, or the European Union giving a donation. As an economist, I think Gabriel, you expert in this area, right? You have to be able to have some production going on in the country.
Absolutely.
You have to have production going in the country. And without production, that means that even if you're receiving $10 million or $1 billion, if you're not creating value for that, it gets create inflation, right? I think that's what happens, right, guys? You're not producing. So it's like we live in a fake world in Liberia where it's a problem, but the problem is not being solved.
Yeah.
You may build a road today or put a light on, but we are not producing. So now how can we produce? When the entrepreneur, the young people, high school, colleges, cannot have access to funding. And then you ask yourself, why don't they have access? Because no investor want to invest into people who they cannot be a investment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? I mean, the thing is a chain effect of the problem. And that's the reason why now, if you're an entrepreneur and you have a solid identity that can be verified globally, because the blockchain is global, right? Global, right. The person who want to invest into you don't even have to come and ask, maybe I cannot access the database. No, all the person got to do is to hook their phone to the blockchain. They download all the information. That's what the blockchain is for. It's not like a secret thing that you have to have.
And they have your whole credit profile in front of you.
Yeah. You put the information, is that you sync it. Call it sync, right? Because it's free. It's public. Anybody can sync to the blockchain. It all come on your phone, your computer. Now you can get all entire history of the person. You do your own analysis, and then you can go invest into the person. Because other companies have done the same, and they've been successful because the person paid back. And that's how we just open a whole portal to new source of funding for our young people and entrepreneurs. And guess what? In the next few years from now, we're talking about $1 billion company, $1 million company. Then the government will get revenue from those companies, and then they won't need the donation,
the World Bank, and donation from everywhere else. Yeah,
isn't this very simple to really think about? So that's the solution we bring with identity.
That is, that was the exactly. Thank you for giving that expose. That's exactly where I was trying to go, especially with the identity, because there's so many problems that can actually solve. So thank you for Bia, you want to add to that before
Right.
before I jump into the
Just to
other?
add to Nestor.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
You mute up, you mute it.
He's having his computer keep muting and unmuting.
Uh, no, maybe it's delayed.
Yeah, I think it's delayed. Also muted as
And
well.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you this, Gabriel,
There he is.
just to add to Ernesto, just
Yep.
to add to Ernesto too, and what he's mentioned about uh, that utility component of the blockchain. Think about it. You know, Akabulian is working on this is a whole system. This is not just one focus here, not just identity. We're thinking
Right.
about with the identity system, we can solve we can have criminal background check system. You know, where Akabulian is working with our justice department in the country to make sure that people who engage in criminal activities can be register into the
Yep.
blockchain, we can have that on their criminal background check. Think
Yep.
about how much safety that brings to the country. You know, we can have, for example, education. One of the issues we have in the country too is authentication of education.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody say they got a PhD from some university that's like more like a community college, like you
Right.
know, we want to be able to work with even the academic institutions in the country to be able to make sure with the layer of our identity solution system, we can build people academic record can be stored on the blockchain. And if you got an employer who wants to check that, they can easily get access with the person's permission. Now, we're not going to just create this system. We're not creating a system where anybody can come and extract anybody information. If somebody wants to check your academic record, that's something that the person whose record is being checked has
With
to
the
approve
permission. Yeah.
their permission. And
Yep.
with blockchain, we have permission-based blockchain system and we have a permissionless system. You know, so there will be organizations and groups that will build their organization on the blockchain. Also, that might be just permission. You're going to have to get permission for you to become part of that group. So it's not just entirely open. It depends also how it's designed. But when it comes to public, public systems like financial system, if it's a permissionless system, at least everybody in the public can see that money and say, okay, 50 cents one year. Okay, it went to the right entity. 25 cents went this way. It went to it's a whole auditing system by itself.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. The next question that I have is something that is, I think Ernesto touched on that a little bit. So in the States, when you oh, sorry about that, guys. In the States, when you buy uh, a property, it gets recorded twice, right? The lawyer actually always done by a lawyer. The lawyer records the deed, he records the mortgage. So if you tell me your address, what I'm able to do, I can go to your county registry of deed and see exactly when you bought the property, who you bought it from. I can even look and see the previous owners of this property, right? It will list every owner before you. So nobody can come out and say, this property belongs to me, right? Because there's evidence Ernesto bought that property and it's there. And in order, if you sell that property, a lawyer records it again, transferring it to another person. That is a system we have here, right? In Liberia right now, we don't have that, right? So I believe this can be a system, another uh, solution that this blockchain technology can offer to Liberia. But here's the point that I'm trying to make here. I mentioned that earlier, public procurement, right? Same thing here. When there's a contract out, like a bid for proposal, they put out the request for proposal out for contractors. the listed requirements, right? You submit your bid. If you meet those bid, they take the 5, maybe they'll select 5 people, they narrow it down to 5, and they eventually go on to select one person based on the qualification, the work they have done, the history, the pricing, and all of that. In Liberia, we have supposedly a system that procurement, public procurement, but there is always corruption involved in that system where you will see the bid get put out. At the end of the day, somebody close to someone in the government gets elected, right? How do you guys think this can actually solve some of that problem in terms of making sure public procurement is transparent, is corruption free once it is actually put on the Archibalance system?
Yes. I think it comes down first with the identity first.
Yeah.
Now we have to identify entities or individuals, the parties, like the stakeholders of this game. So that involve the entity that is trying to procure, and then those who apply, they also have to be, to have the information. So we can have their history, right? Also available for not just a particular person who's in authority to vet, but also for the general blockchain to be able to assess, and also again, all these things is also zero knowledge. So you got to understand that people will be concerned, okay, how my information is always will be exposed. No, with the blockchain, we use this cryptography to not make it exposed if you don't want it to be exposed, but still it's still do the same way. It can still vet the same thing. So with that being said, if you put a bid, the people that are applying for the bid, pretty much when they apply, their information and their history, you don't even have to do much, because we have something called smart contracts. Mm-hmm. What is a smart contract, right? That you put on the blockchain. A smart contract is it's just a contract that you can write in real life, like you write a contract, like a contract trying to buy a house. That between you and the buyer and the seller. So that's a contract, right? Now that contract there, we take that contract and we put it in, we code it, we put it in a computer programming language, like let's say a code, and then the instruction in the code say this and this and this is a condition and this and Y and Z, this and Y and Z. If this condition is met, this should automatically happen. If this condition is met, this is what should happen, right? That code is put on the blockchain, and like we said, the blockchain is decentralized, so the code goes around the world on all the computers too, and it stays there. It's unchangeable, meaning that nobody can change the code. Somebody can change the contract, right, to fit their interest, right? But nobody can change the code. So whenever now you're trying to procure, this is a smart contract that are controlling procurement, not the person who before we know that is in authority. The smart contract will now replace the person in authority that say I'm vetting or vetting. The smart contract will look at the person in history and look at the person in history and automatically choose the person that is worth it based on their histories that they have them, based on what the entities set as the
guidelines,
the guidelines, right? What's the money? Everybody in the is what they choose to say. This are our guidelines, and there's now a person where we say we trust this person, or this person is so trustworthy, and we choose the right person. No, the smart contract would do that work now for us, because I'll tell you this, Gabriel.
And I'll say this, Gabriel. We're not going to come here and tell you, say that blockchain is going to solve all of our problems. There are certain situations that human beings, it takes the quality of human being to actually be able to intervene. We need people who in themselves have some level of honesty. I work for a civil engineering firm in Minneapolis, and we do a lot of projects with most of the cities and counties, and I've been through a lot of these bidding processes. Mm-hmm. Now, the bidding is based pretty much on one, who's the most competent contractor, and not just competent, but who has the lowest bid. Pretty much the contractor has to go on, if it's a construction project, they have to go on site and do their estimates to make sure that whatever project total they come up with is within that city range, the budget range or so. And it takes a lot to really come up with those numbers. And also the city is looking at, the city is looking at making sure that the contractor also has done that job before in the past. They're competent of doing the job. So, but using the blockchain now, the city will set their own criteria of
Yeah.
what gives a company certain points, accumulation of certain points. Now, if you worked on this project that's similar to our project, you get this point, get this point. Now, the accumulation of that point can say, oh, this person might be the highest, the lowest bidder, and then considering also the person's estimate whether it's low. Because you come out, the city has like $1 million to build a project or $10 million to build a project, and your
Yeah.
contractor come up with $15 million. Even if you're competent to do the job, the city is going to be like, man,
That's too
we
high.
got 10 million. This guy's asking for 15. That's like almost 50% more.
Yeah.
You know, so but blockchain can solve some of those issues. However, we still need quality of people to be able to make sure that certain layer of the system, you know, it works properly. So we need humans also to a certain
Yeah.
extent, but ultimately blockchain will be able to do a lot of those other things that human can do.
Yes. Thank you. Putu.
Yeah, one point I want to make just to add, just in this whole concept of blockchain, is that the world is moving towards integrating blockchain into their country, whether Liberia wants to or not, whether Africa wants to or not. So what we are doing here now with Acrobulium to bring it home is that it's providing us an opportunity to go along with where the world is
The
going
rest of the
already.
world is going.
Okay.
Yeah.
We always talk about, oh, we're getting left behind, we're getting left behind. A lot of these technologies are developed in foreign lands, and then it's developed to a point by the time it's introduced to our country, Liberia, other developing countries, it's a bit more sophisticated. It is not catered specifically to the needs of our people, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
so we just have to go along, and then sometimes it doesn't work best, you know. So what we're doing here with Acrobulium is providing the opportunity to help customize blockchain, a blockchain system that works for our problems before getting it 5, 10 years down the line, and it's kind of foreign, and we just go in and then we're all the way behind.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's and this is something I think you guys rightly stated. You know we're always playing catch up, and this is why it's good to talk to brilliant minds like you guys on here. Um, but there's always a reluctance in our government of the unknown, meaning like their embrace of new technology, like you guys are talking about here, right? I'm not a tech person, right? I'm learning. I'm sitting here. Some of the words you guys are using, some of them are uncomfortable. I have to go Google them. Why you have be honest with you. While you guys are talking, I'm Googling some words to see exactly what they are, right? But that uncomfortability allowed me to learn, right? That's something our government isn't doing right now. Meaning, hey, you may not understand it, bring the right people on. Even if you make it like a side project, let them teach you what it is, how it can benefit. um, but that's that kind of embrace and um, you know taking on embracing new idea that we're not I don't think we're on the forefront with that, but hopefully you guys keep pushing. And um, because I think this technology has a lots of problem it can solve, especially in Africa. Now I would say this before we go to we have two questions in the chat. Because the way our system is set up, with this thing being corruption, trying to solve corruption, and there's a lot of corruption in our system, there's going to be a lot of pushback because you'll be cutting some people's weight of, technically making their living off. So I'm just putting you guys out there to be aware that you're going to do a lot of pushing because a lot of people are going to push against this, so be on the lookout. But we have two questions here. Um, This one is from, I don't know who it is. He said, which type of documents are most suited for blockchain-based storage?
I think that's a Richard that's on YouTube there. Mhm.
Yeah, that's yeah. And then
Mhm.
there's
Yes, sir.
so that's Richard. Yeah, that's Richard. Yeah,
Mhm. Wow.
yeah,
So which type of documents are most suited for blockchain-based storage?
yeah,
Um, if I was speak on that, the blockchain, it has some things that our traditional databases, the way we think about it, we store maybe JPEG, we store the image files, video files, and a lot of different files. Okay, so we have this network that is global and interconnected with many computers, and you paying fees to store this thing on the network. So mainly from what is mainly used to store is string data, pretty much like a text data, text
okay,
data. Now you ask yourself, but how come if we're storing text data, then how come people can actually create an NFT of an image or picture? Like somebody can
yeah,
take a picture and create an NFT of the picture, and then that picture now becomes an asset,
yeah,
and you put the asset on the blockchain, and people can buy the asset, and only that person own that picture. And you're like, wait, how is that possible? Because we're not really taking a picture and then putting it in the blockchain itself. That's the power of the cryptography, right? What they're doing is they're taking a picture and they're transforming the picture into text, into string, right? The same thing they do with all documents. You transform the document into string, and then you take that string and save it. That string represents that image. Every pixels on the image is mapped to the string itself. So that string is saved. Now you can actually regenerate that same string with that same image. If you alter the image even with 1 pixel, it will never generate this string. So, like I said earlier, the reason why the blockchain is this powerful is because of that cryptographic technology, where you can take any document in any form, PDF or whatever it is, right? And then you put it in a cryptographic format. You extract the string that represent that specific document, and then you save that specific string. Now that string, just one string or maybe multiple. It depends what you want to save. You can save more information or not. It depends on how much transaction fee you want to pay. But if I want to be cheap, I'm just going to use only one string to represent the entire image. And that image, only that image can reproduce a string. Can you imagine that? No other image in the world. And that same image, if you take one dot out of it, it will never reproduce the same string. Right? So that's how you can save documents on it. You can save any document, but you have to first transform the document into the bits, or I would say into a string that will be transformed into bits later on and then stored in the blockchain. That bits will stay on the blockchain forever.
so
I
yeah,
hope
go
I
ahead.
answered that question well, though. If the person is fine with it, I can try to
No,
reiterate
no,
again.
I think that was good. But Rich, if you're watching, I know you're watching. Please do comment whether that answered the question. Um, uh, I think he's still in the I believe he's still in the chat there. Um, but I think that Pudu, were you trying to say something? No. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, we're good.
Okay. Perfect. No, and that's it. Thank you for answering that question.
Mhm.
As we're winding down here, we should be wrapping up in the next 15 minutes or so. Um, what is my question? My next question to you guys is, what is the next step in this project? The next step in Akibilan. What is the next step you guys are taking? I think before we came on, I think you guys have a launch coming up uh, in Liberia. So once that is launched, what is the next step you guys are taking?
Yeah, Puru, you want to go? Or you
Yeah, you're muted.
mute it again? Anyway, let me just say a little bit. So with this new technology, we're trying to introduce in Liberia. So next month, on the 28th of June, if you're in Liberia, you want to be at the Morovia Liberian Learning Center. You want to be there at 1:30 p.m. to to witness, Liberia introducing its first blockchain ever. This is going to be a historic event, something that we intend to make like that, and we inviting all stakeholders, government institutions, international partners, the civil society. We inviting other companies, fintech companies, and everybody who are stakeholders in fighting corruption, because we have lots of institutions that are fighting corruption. So we're going to invite all of those institutions, and then they will come. And then the entire agenda of the launch is to introduce this concept to them, like what we just did on this call. Let them understand that, okay, cool, you're using your current system, but we can tell you why is it that it's not working for you, and we can tell you this new system we're introducing, why it's going to work and how it works, and then we might get some interest. People want to try it. That's the reason why we like the idea of the sandbox. If even the central bank, I don't know if I told you, we have informed them about our intent to bring this technology to Liberia, and the central bank responded to us. We had a call with them. They said they were thinking in the same direction, because the central bank been trying to introduce this central bank digital currency, or they were thinking about it in the past. So now they told us that with this, thing we brought to them, that's something they want to create a sandbox, like a test environment where we can operate in that environment, so they can be able to get familiar with this technology to see how they can learn how to regulate it. So one of the things that we're discussing at that event is, discussing about the regulation, because we've been in the US for a while. We've been monitoring how the US went from, first trying to ban cryptocurrency to regulating it, and to now even the president of the United States is creating meme coins on the blockchain, right? So you can see that this thing have evolved in America. We have seen the regulations. We know how it's being done, because we are players in the market too. So when we go down there, when we go to Liberia, not down there, but up there, when we go up there to Liberia, we're going to discuss about regulations too. How the government, we can help the government to form these regulations. As we have the experience and we have the knowledge, and we're going to discuss about many things. It'll be a discussion, like a talk, like a tech talk, pretty much, question and answers. So that's what's going to happen on the 28th. We have the blockchain running, and we have a product. We call it the Ma app. It's an application that you can pretty much log into. It's like a wallet / a trading app. So on the app, we have our own cryptocurrency that we call Ma coin. I mean, all Liberians already know what Ma is, right? So instead of having, we don't use Bitcoin. We use something called Ma coin. So on our blockchain, if you get there, you probably need to get some Ma, right? So, and to get the Ma, we don't have our Ma on the exchanges. They have crypto exchange. We don't have an exchange because one of the reasons we don't have it because of regulation, right? We have our lawyers and everybody who have understanding regulation in Liberia and also in other countries, and so exchanges require certain kind of regulatory oversight. So and even Coinbase and all those ones, you already know. Now they have another kind of exchange called a decentralized exchange, where you don't have an entity that is custodian. The key word is custodianship. If you are custodian of somebody's money, then you have to be regulated in a certain way by the government, right? So, but if you remove the custodianship, you say, I don't want to hold your money for you, then that becomes decentralized. So in the US, they have two kinds of exchanges. One that is regulated and one that is not regulated. So the one that is not regulated, called it decentralized exchange. So what we built something that is more so like a decentralized trading. Trading, but you can only trade one asset, which is the Ma coin on there. You can access it now. Anybody can log into it now and see how it is. So you can log into akibullion.org, is our website, and then you see create account. And you click on the create account button, it will take you to the app. The app is online. You log in the app, and then you can be able to see your Ma wallet, and you can be able to trade your Ma, get Ma, and buy Ma. It's a peer-to-peer trading, so that nobody holding your money. Is just a smart contract earlier that sits on the blockchain that is regulating the trade, the smart contract. So it's decentralized trading platform we have. So this is a product we have currently that people will start to get familiar with. We already have over 50 users from Liberia already have signed up to the app, and they're already getting familiar with it already. So
what is the quickly, without trying to call you out, what is, how do you, Alkebuleum, ALKEBULEUM
that
.org?
all.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to drop it in the chat there so people can get on that as well.
ALKEBULEUM.org. So when you get there, you see a button called Create Account. You want to click that button, it will take you to our My app. So there where now Liberian first cryptocurrency called MyCoin is. You can access My right there, and you can start to get familiar with it. You don't even have to start to use it now. Just get familiar with the interfaces and some things. Eventually, you will get you know what to do with it, and that's where the education will come in. That's the next step of our journey in this.
Yeah. So man, that's quite of a. So you guys already have a product out.
Yes.
This is first. You heard it here first. We have a Alkebuleum product now app out there.
And I'll tell you
There'll
this,
be a
Gabriel.
live
I'll tell you this,
demonstration.
man.
In fact, Ernesto, he was talking about the June 28th program. That's going to be a live demonstration, so you can actually see a live trading of this. That's going to be very historical, one to put in the record books. So get on board there. You know, we don't know. We are moving forward with confidence, and that this thing will continue to grow. As you see, if you really pay attention to other countries, they're moving to what they call stable coins, which are like a digital currency that are pegged to more stable assets. Because when you look in the world of cryptocurrency, there's a lot of volatility. One day is up here, the next day is down, up and down. So as governments are putting together regulation, in fact, in the U.S. is what they call. You can look up the Genius Act. Okay, you look up the things like the Genius Act, which within a few months, the U.S. will have an official stable currency. In the EU, the European Union, they're working on stable coin regulations to be done in as soon as September. Okay, the African Union, you know, they're talking about a Pan-African stable coin. You know, so people are moving forward. So Liberia, as Liberians, you know, we know the history of Liberia, the first modern republic on the African soil. Why not be innovative in this day and age in the world of blockchain?
And MI is a stable coin too, just to add that.
And I'll add to this, you know, I'll add to this, Gabriel, on our website, go to alkebuleum.org.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Gabriel?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
On our website, when you go all the way, when you scroll down, you go to the bottom. Yes. On our website, when you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you will see our white paper. Now, our white paper has pretty much, if you read, it's a 21-page paper, and that pretty much is a comprehensive view of what Alkebuleum is trying to solve, some of the problems we're trying to solve, and how we're going to go about solving those problems. So white paper in also most of those tech projects have white papers, pretty much telling your audience and say, look, these are some of the challenges we see, and these are the problems we're trying to solve, and this is how we're going to go about solving some of these problems. So I encourage you guys to take a look at the white paper and also reach out to us and ask questions if you have questions. You know, Alkebuleum is a movement. We're not interested in people's money. You know, we don't, for me personally, I know most of the guys on the team, we don't need people's money. I don't need nobody's money.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing well enough. You know, we are interested in problem solving. We notice that there are problems in our society, and we have the courage and the backbone it takes to solve some of those problems. And I think if we can do that, if we can pull this off, You know, our country is going to be better. The children, the future of the kids is going to be better. And that little girl that's going to be born 50 years from now can live in a different Liberia. We have to do something, man. Our people are suffering. Our people are dying every day. We talk a whole lot of politics, but we don't want to work. We got problems in front of us that we have to solve. And everybody's sitting there arguing about what this other politician said and who said that. We got to quit all this gossip, this little small talk, and focus on real issues. This is what we're trying to do. We're dedicated. We've been working on this thing for 3 years plus. It's really difficult to work on tech problems. We've been working, coordinating, just focusing on how to work this blockchain pretty good so that it can really, really do something for our people. We don't need handouts.
Yeah.
We don't need people to kind of feel sorry for us and say, oh, we want to put money in your pocket. We want to solve the problems our country face. And that's what we're doing. And nobody can stop it because the train is already gone.
Thank you, Ben. That was good.
It's pretty good. I think my last comment to you guys were going to be maybe a call to action. For everyone that is watching right now, what is the call to action that you guys want everyone to do? And I think some of you guys may have alluded to bit and pieces of that, but what do you guys want people to take away from this? And then after that, then we can do maybe a parting comment for each and every one of you. Like, what do you want everybody to take away? I think BN may have started that already, but I want to hear that from each and every one of you.
I would say the major thing is June 28th. If you're in Liberia, June 28th, next month, the place to be, is Liberian Learning Center, 1:30 p.m. It's going to be an event that you have never seen before. It's not entertainment. This one is innovative technology that we're introducing. So you want to be there to sit down with people from different sectors of the country and be at a launch event. Secondly, go on our website, akibudon.org, and then get your event pass. Is on there. We have a link there to get an event pass. So if you go on akibudon.org, click on the Get Event Pass, and then it will take you to your My App, log in the My App and everything else, sign up, and then you get your event pass. And then that's what you'll be able to enter with at the event hall. Everything is on chain. Everything is on chain for us right now. So that's two major action points.
Okay. Putu?
Yeah, I would say, June 28th. You know where to be. If you can't make it, if you're in the diaspora, but you have people back home, make those phone calls and, let them know what's going to be going on June 28th. The launching of Liberia's first cryptocurrency, or first anti-corruption blockchain, Akabulium, got the mod coin. I will also say, just do research, okay? Go type in blockchain on Google or ChatGPT now. They got everything there that will go and break it down for you. If you don't know about it, some of y'all been hearing about this Bitcoin and this cryptocurrency for years, and a lot of times it's been associated with scams and things which that is something you definitely have to be aware of. But just like the internet, when the internet was first started, and even now, there are ways that people can be taken advantage of on the internet. That doesn't mean that the internet cannot be used to do great things like what we're doing right now, interacting and using it to spread the word about this new technology and spread information. So yeah, technology can be used either way, but the world is moving in that direction and we know the value of it. So go do your research, type on YouTube, blockchain, and just learn about what blockchain is. Also look out for the Akabulian theme song, okay? This blockchain is also affecting the music industry, but we have a young artist by the name of Prince August, who, he put together a song called Akabulium, and you guys will be hearing about it and dancing it, Akabulium. So if you hear that, you know where it came from. Shout out to Prince August, to Jaws of a Living King, to DJ One and the whole music life team. There's a music video and remixes gonna be coming out in a few months. Y'all look forward to that. This is a fun thing, but it's a very important and a significant thing for our country. I yield.
Perfect. Again, as I said, I've over the last hour and a half, I've sat here and learned a lot from you guys. I believe those in the audience did as well. What you guys are working on is it's something that we've heard about. I have been, like most people, I've been a late bloomer, but I'm gradually adopting not just the cryptocurrency as a whole, but the blockchain, the technology behind it, which you guys are actually talking about here. Every bank is adopting this blockchain technology.
That is true.
Every bank is adopting the technology. Matter of fact, BlackRock actually has an ETF for Bitcoin. I think it's probably one of the most subscribed one. So hopefully, as I said, maybe the government can get on board with you guys and bring this on board. My last question to you before we wrap up. Let's say you guys are in Liberia doing a presentation on June 28th, and somebody from, let's say, one of the government agency and said, come up to you and say, how can we get our agency onto the the Archibulum network to minimize the level of corruption? How can they get in contact with you guys? Is it through the website? Is there like a formal email out there that you guys have for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, we have an email. They can send us an emails that is info@archibulium.org. So info@archibulium.org. So you can send, archibulium.org.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll put
So
that
that's one of it. And if let me see, if you're in Liberia, you want to make a phone call to a local number. Let me see if I can get a local number. You can continue that way.
Yeah, the local number, and in fact, some of we have open invitation to some of these government agencies too that look forward to them being present at the event in June, on June 28th, and we will definitely be available as consultants to help assist in onboarding that process, because we understand it is a new technology and it's a learning curve. It's not something you just boom boom do it so quick. This is something that we are here to help educate, and we ourselves too continue to learn. It's not something you just learn overnight, you finish, you go away, because blockchain is ever evolving. The internet was ever evolving. And so but you don't want to wait before it's so advanced to where you don't it's so hard for you to
understand. Right.
Yeah. Right. Let me just get back in the number. The phone number to call in Liberia will be 231.
Hold on.
778. 778.
Yeah.
8.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Sorry. So 231 778
302
302
181.
181. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
drop
one
that
of
in
our
the chat.
representatives down there will answer, and he will give every information that the person needs.
Perfect. On that note, let me take your parting comments as we wrap up, so we can wrap up the show. I will start with you, Putu.
Yeah, first off, definitely, thank God for this opportunity to be here with you guys. We thank the whole Focus on Liberia family, Dennis, Gabriel, Sonny, the whole rest of them. And want to shout out all of our Akabulium family too. There's a number of them there. We got people like Ken, we got people like Eddie, Korobo, Joss, Ever Living, and so many other people behind the scenes. And we're growing. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you to those people who are watching it live and are going to watch it after. We need your involvement. This is something, it's a community. As a people, we can build on. But let's do it June 28th, and beyond. We might even be having something later on this year for the Decemberies, and the localries in December. Let's build up this momentum and do this as a nation, as a people. So, man, Putu signing out.
Udo, thank you. Thank you. I
Absolutely, 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 absolutely. And one thing, Gabriel, I want to just leave with your audience, man. It's we appreciate you so much for the work you guys are doing, the community, providing communication venue for our people. And information is power in this world we live in.
yeah,
And I tell Liberians, our people, everywhere you are, my people, one of the things you always got to think about is how do we become a problem solver? The whole world is made out of problems. And the people who
absolutely.
solve problems becomes the most attractive people in the room. We have to be able to solve problems. We shouldn't run away from problems. I mean, we shouldn't also create problems, but we have to confront problems and be able to solve them. Because when you think about it, that's why we're here as people. So I encourage all of you to be problem solvers, whether it's in your home or your job or in your community or whatever you do. Try to make sure you make things better than what they used to be.
Thank you, Bien. True words couldn't have been said. Thank you. Ernesto.
Yes, I think what I would say would be, in Africa, we kind of leap jump the telephone technology. When people
Yeah,
were using land phone in America, we didn't use it a lot. So, well, guess what? We jumped to cell phone, right? So we jumped to a land phone. Then that blew everybody's mind. And Africa is using mobile money now, even that we even ahead of the West in terms of that aspect, mobile money aspect,
yeah.
all around Africa. So there's something about the way the technology is being introduced in Africa and the way it's being adapted and how it's being used. If Liberia can adapt the blockchain now, what Liberia would do, they would leap jump. They would jump over a lot of technology in between that is unnecessary because other countries have already been there, they've done that, and they left it now, right? And it will get to a point where other countries are now, even including the United States of America. Because America, if Liberia want to be a competitive force in the world, that means that you just don't be behind anybody, be on the side with them, on the sideline with them, right? So we can leap jump, just how we did mobile money and cell phone. We can leap jump from our current system we store data into onto the blockchain and transform our economy faster. In the next 5 or 10 years, we'll have companies that are making millions, millions. People will say calling Zogo tomorrow, they will become millionaires. There's no difference between Elon Musk and a Liberian boy who going to school to Stars University. There's no difference. The Liberian boy is even better. The only reason why he's not making it is because there's no opportunity, no funding sources.
Yeah.
And this system we're creating, like we explained earlier, it creates that path for funding and entrepreneurship, and then more taxes. And even the government that is, if you say they corrupt, right? They will get more money than what they're getting now. In corruption, you're not even getting much money in it. Okay,
Exactly.
imagine what you would get if somebody is producing millions in revenue. Then imagine the amount of money you'll be playing with, discussing about stealing like few millions of dollars. So I mean, is that obvious that we just stagnant because of our own mindset? I think we should change it and we'll move forward. So I will stop on that note too.
Gentlemen, thank you guys for the presentation. Thank you for educating us on blockchain technology, and thank you for educating the audience. As I said before, hopefully this is not your last time. Whenever you have a new product launch, please do reach out. We'd love to talk to you guys. Even if there's a milestone you guys have accomplished, you're welcome here to come and talk about it. But on that note, I will like to thank you all. Thank everyone for watching, and we will talk to you guys in the next milestone. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are La
Thank you, Gabriel.
Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia. Ah.